Hello everyone. So today we're going to make another video in this style, and we're going to talk about the repercussions of avarice and laziness. Basically, I was thinking about this where we all know that a lot of companies that produce appliances and basically anything that a consumer would want to buy, they make things cheaply nowadays, cut corners in any way they can, and they do it just in the name of lining their own pockets. It's no secret, we all know this. But it occurred to me that they're ultimately their own worst enemy. Because, I mean, think about it, right? Why do you want money? Ultimately, money itself has no value. It's just pieces of paper, it's coins, it's, very little value to money itself. It's all about what you can buy with it and what you can do with it. And so, if you go to buy something and your options have all been reduced to things that really don't hold a lot of value themselves, then what's the point, right? For instance, if you're the CEO of a company that produces, I don't know, refrigerators, you've probably figured out that you can cut costs and make very cheap parts for the refrigerators. You put a cheap compressor in a refrigerator, chintzy defrost timer, what have you. And it saves you a lot of money to have those cheap parts put in. You got the energy efficiency label on them, and you advertise them as being energy efficient, so everyone wants to buy them. And so that right there has just increased your profitability by a substantial margin. Then you have the fact that these things are so cheaply built that they break down at one point they started building them cheaper and they last about 10 years. Then it was about 8 years, then it's about 5 years, and nowadays you'll be anywhere from probably about 3 to 5 years is the expected life of a refrigerator from almost any brand. And so that actually increases the profitability as well, because people have to constantly buy new ones. And so, you have a very profitable business model there, but a very dishonest and very ridiculous one, ultimately. Now, you want to put a refrigerator in your mansion because you can afford a mansion, and what are your options? Well, you make lousy refrigerators, and you own several other companies, several other badges that are ultimately just your rebranded lousy refrigerators, and all of your competitors are doing the same thing because you're the only competition. Well, maybe there's some other competition, but they're doing the same thing as well. And so, money can't buy a decent refrigerator. What about going to buy a car? Well, the car manufacturers do the same thing. You can go out and buy yourself a BMW or an Acura or a Lexus, but it's going to be, just as unreliable as the car that's a lower-end brand. Not only that, it doesn't look that much better. The up model of this car I'm driving, a Honda CR-V, Acura makes, I don't know what they're called, but Acura makes cars that are essentially just rebadged CR-Vs that have parts that are different enough that they won't work between Honda and Acura. So you have to buy expensive Acura replacement parts. But ultimately on the outside, the cars look basically the same. The Acura might be a little shinier, might have painted bumpers where this one doesn't. You might have, a built-in GPS where this one didn't at the time. Things like that. But then you compare that to a car from 50 years ago that actually had real class, real effort into the design, and it was meant to look appealing and to perform, and they tried to make them to last. Of course, the technology wasn't really there back then, and you had more frequent breakdowns for various reasons. But at least they were made to last, and they looked amazing. And then you have, the cars today that they look okay, and they they'll drive a long time, depending on what brand you get. But, you know, you'd no longer have the same prestige, the same elegance that you would have 50 years ago, or even further back than that, too. And so, the money really isn't buying you what it used to. You know, you're on top of everyone else, but what do you really have to show for it? Not that much. You know, houses, they're built practically, even the higher end ones. You know, you have some fanciness to them, some glamour to them, but there's not as much, like the people who build them, the architects, they don't put as much pride into making something that's new, that's innovative, and that stands apart from everything else. And so, all of these cost-cutting and ultimately the dumbing down of all of the things that we buy as consumers has led to increased profitability. But my point is, what good is this increased profitability when you can't use it for anything, when you'll have ultimately nothing to show for it, except for more numbers on your bank account? You know, you have more numbers, yay. So I'm just curious, at what point will people become wise to this, or will they ever become wise to this? Or will people just continue to be greedy, and the standard of everything that we use to live lives in the civilized first world will just continue to degrade, and we'll ultimately end up being all the worse for it? That's my question. I don't know. Just, I had to get that out there. You know, they say that, whenever you think of something like that, you ought to write it down in a notebook, because you're not going to remember it later. That was sort of like a shower thought, or I just thought of that in a dream, and I woke up thought. So, now it's in video form. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to fill up my gas tank now. Have a good day, everyone.